just sitting there and rocking her baby. And there's like a little pickup kind of nearby. And I just, from afar, I'm viewing this and I'm shooting some of it.
Right.
And then eventually we slowly approach and we walk. And she tells this tale that is just terrifying. Because she lived in one of those houses.
Oh, my God.
And they put the baby in a cooler when the storm surge came in. And her young people, her and her husband, held on to the cooler for dear life and just let the storm surge take them until finally they were able to grab onto something, and then they just kind of hung on for dear life.
I can't even imagine.
For me, I'm more of like the front end of it.
I'm just making it up. Of a similar nature or character.
JMKast. JMKast.
But we get shocked often by Chris.
If you Google my name, it always pulls up Ric Flair and Blackjack Mulligan. That's another story for another time, though.
Ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, people of all ages, welcome back to the JMKast. I'm your host, Ric Mulligan, along with
Greg T. Johnson.
I feel like I can take a nap when he says his name. Is your iPhone talking over there?
I don't know.
I feel like I hear an iPhone talking.
I'm hearing
somewhere.
something.
What if it's mine?
If it's the iPhone, is it? Well, I turned that down, so it can't be that. I thought I would do something for Rick because, I mean, he's had to hear one thing after another, and we really hadn't got to do this for him today. So
We'll get a score update while you're doing that.
This is for you, Rick.
All right.
And what's the score?
13-0 halftime over Iowa.
Oh, I was going to say
anemic.
Iowa was 13-0.
Iowa's offense is anemic.
They were pretty good last year.
Yeah,
too.
up until they ran into Michigan in the Big Ten championship game and got slaughtered.
Yeah, that is true. They did.
So did you hear what they had a game earlier this year and the score was 7-3?
Yeah.
So how do you think the Iowa scored their 7 points?
No idea.
Safety.
Well,
Safety. Field goal. That's how Iowa got to 7. They've only scored 2 touchdowns all season at this point.
so 2 safeties in a field. That's so awkward.
It's so bad.
They're
weird. So bad.
That
All those poor
has
kids.
it ever happened before?
Probably. But all those poor cancer kids watching Iowa just suck. You built this hospital for us? We got to watch that? So, yeah, Michigan beat them like 44 or 45-0 in the Big Ten title game last year. 3, I don't remember. They slaughtered them.
Wow.
And they're up 13-0 right now. Michigan's first road game. I would say true test, but it's not. Their first true test will be next week or the week after.
So obviously it's football season when we're recording this. In case you're watching this outside of football season,
It's also state fair season.
It is state fair season, and I mean, just to be totally honest, today's October 1st.
It is.
We're recording this on October 1st, a week before the Texas OU, and we have another podcast that talks all about that. But where are we?
We are at
location.
Standard Service in Heath, Texas for the 4th time. They were gracious enough to allow us to come out here and record, and we're kind of off to the side, so we're not really impeding anyone, which is nice, but it's a great venue.
Not getting beaten by football.
Yeah, almost this kid over here throwing one I thought we were going to a minute ago. Really cool open-air venue. They've got bags all over the place, and they've got a squash ball court and a stage, and they've got cabanas. It's just a really cool place in Heath. If you've never been here in the Rockwall area, I highly recommend it. The managers are amazing. Every time I've always come here, it's always been just excellent service, and I recommend it.
They actually have another one in Dallas.
That's the first one.
Okay.
That's the original.
See,
yeah. And this was originally
when
in
I
Rockwall.
looked up the address, it said Dallas, and I was like, no, I don't want to go to the
I'm
Dallas
certain
one.
that's the original one.
So
don't quote me on that.
yeah,
great venue.
It's definitely.
Anytime somebody says they want to come here, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, food's amazing. They got a really good. What is it? It's
Well, the breakfast tacos are pretty good.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I want to say it's a pork chop. Michelle gets it. It's a pork chop pork chop, chicken. It's either chicken and mashed potatoes or pork chop and mashed
Hey,
potatoes. Anyway,
it's
she loves
food
it.
you
it's
like.
Really good. It's really good.
Rick can be picky with food.
It can be. I am. I admit it.
Okay.
Always have. Anyway.
So in this episode, it's kind of, it's fair weather, and with fair weather, it's actually kind of nice outside. But the problem
5 degrees cooler would be perfect.
Yes. The problem being the direct sunlight, and it's literally like, it's right.
We're gonna
in my
have.
eyes.
I just realized we're gonna have some color. Like the back of my neck is gonna.
I'm gonna get a little head.
I can see it on your forehead. The back of my neck
that's
is
not
gonna be
good.
fried.
So we're gonna get a little sun, and our equipment's not crazy about direct sunlight sometimes. So we're doing a lot of this, but that goes with kind of the direction I was going to go with this episode, because we have all these hurricanes and stuff going on right now.
You've covered that stuff,
and I've covered that stuff. But what's some of the hardest shoots you've ever been on, Rick? You were in Michigan. It's cold.
Well, I have two. I'll give you two.
Okay.
One was physically taxing in terms of what I had to do, and the other one is so in Michigan, if a snowflake hits the ground, they don't freak out like here, but when 4 hit the ground, they do. So when it starts to heavy snow, they want to. We got to tell everyone it's snowing. They live in Michigan. They get it. So I had a string of 34 days in a row, weekends included, where I had to be on the side of a highway telling people it was snowing.
Well, that's...
Where do you want to be?
I wouldn't call that fun.
Where do you want to be in the middle of a huge snowstorm? And when I say I'm on the side of the road, I'm talking the road is right there.
Yeah.
And anyway, ridiculous. But one day it was so bad that it didn't matter what I did. I couldn't keep my lens on my camera clean because the snow was pounding us so hard that I'm like, why are we out here? This is like, it became dangerous, in terms of where we were located. I'm like, man, if a car loses control, we're dead. And it's like, so that happens a lot. But the other one, and this one's, so I begged my sports guy to let me cover Michigan games. Give us press pass. Never been before, other than as a fan.
Stadiums are big.
It's the biggest stadium in the country.
Bigger than Jerry World?
Michigan Stadium's the biggest stadium. Yeah, it seats 109,000. Jerry only seats 80. It has a capacity of over 100, but it only seats 80.
Well, it's still a big stadium.
Yeah. Michigan, but Michigan's the biggest. It's the biggest in the world. It's the second biggest in the world. It's the biggest in the country. So I park. I'm carrying my camera. I'm carrying my backpack. I'm carrying my tripod. About 120 pounds worth of stuff, give or take. And I walk in, and I go right, and I go up to the press box. It's enough of a haul as it is. And I get to the top, and the door's open, and the guy looks at me, older gentleman looks at me. I see it in his face. He's like, oh, you're in the wrong place. And I go, yeah, I'm looking for where we set up for a post game. He goes, come with me. And he walks me over to where they're serving food for the press box. He goes, I want you to grab a couple hot dogs, grab yourself a couple waters, grab yourself a Coke. And I go, oh, okay, cool. This is great. Like,
this must be good.
I'm like, this is awesome. And then he walks me back over, and he walks me down to the opening, and he points, and he goes, see all the way across there? And he's literally pointing all the way down, all the way across to the tunnel. And I go, yeah. He goes, you got to go over there. You got to go up the tunnel, and then you got to go through and to the right. And they set up at Chrysler Arena. And my heart drops because I realize I have a long walk with about 120 pounds worth of gear. And
every stadium thing, though, it's always like I remember Rangers. At the Rangers, they make you park in a particular place,
and we have to park very far away.
And it's literally where the immediate interest is on the opposite side.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why do you make us park on the opposite side? I don't get that. Yeah. But that's very typical in anything where you're working with stadiums.
So I end up walking over, and I get into the room, and it's just first come, first serve for your tripod for after the game. And of course, I'm way the last one there, so there's no room. Get it all set up,
for
whatever.
A long time.
Yeah,
I get morning.
Yeah, I get it all set up, and then I kind of find a guy who gives me the ropes the rest of the way. Like, he's like, okay, this is what we're gonna do at halftime. This is what we do when the game ends. This is when you got to, So a couple cool guys that really showed me how to do it. But I did that for 5 years, and the first one was the worst, and the rest were all awesome. I wouldn't change it for a second. But Between that and the
Gotta
weather.
learn it.
Oh, it's brutal.
But when you do, it kind of becomes second nature.
It's a cool story now. Like, I look back at it 20 years later, and I'm like, it's a cool story.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I had a really bad back at the time, so it was a long day.
Yeah.
And then I had to turn around, drive back to Kalamazoo, hour and 45 minutes. And I didn't have anybody with me. I was by myself.
Right.
And from that point on, I said to my sports guy, I'm like, I need someone to come with me. So I was always able to take somebody with me. And I always took buddies. But they were always good about, like, they were professional. Like, I never had to worry about them, being that guy. Except for Brian James. I took him to a Red Wings game, and he stood in the locker room and stood on the emblem and had his mouth at the floor. And I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm going to get him on the show so we can talk about that day. It's so funny. Greg, I'm kidding you not. He's standing on the logo, which you're not supposed to do. Mouth agape. And he's in the middle of the room. I'm trying to get interviews, and he's just spinning around like he's in La La Land. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I'm thinking, it just takes one person.
Why aren't you supposed to be on the loop?
Act like you've been there before, man. Those guys don't want to see someone in there with going cuckoo over those players. Like, you gotta, act like you've been there before, man. Act like you scored a touchdown. Act
college
like you
kids. Why are you going?
No, Brian wasn't a college kid.
That's what I'm saying.
Brian was a man.
That's what I'm saying. Why are you going? I mean, these are college kids.
Yeah, Brian was a man.
Okay.
Tell me you get that reference.
Anyway.
Oh, you don't.
No, I don't get the
old
reference.
Oklahoma State. I'm a man.
Oh.
I'm a man. Don't make fun of those kids. I'm a man.
I'm a man.
Such a good story about that.
Were you there for that too?
No, but a friend of mine decided one day to make that joke to his brothers.
Right. Didn't work.
Oh, no, it worked. The guy was sitting in the booth right behind him.
Oh, really?
He literally
the actual
the waitress comes up and he's like, "What can you get?" And he goes, "I'll get a salad." And his brother starts making fun of him, and he goes, "I'm a man. I can get a salad. I'm a man." And he's just brother just hammering on brother. That's all it was.
Yeah.
He gets up to go to the bathroom, walks by, turns and looks, and he's like,
turns white as a
and
ghost.
Sees him and realizes it's that guy.
And
walks to the bathroom, comes back out, sits down, and he's like, and his brother's like, what? And he's like, dude, he's right. And he goes, who's right there?
I'm a man.
I'm a man. And he's like, and then he gets up and has to, dude, they had no idea he was sitting there and they were doing that joke. And I'm like, that is awesome.
Oh, no.
That guy's heard that a million times.
Right.
I don't even know his name.
But anyway, so any stadium shoot is physically taxing. It just is.
It's impossible not to be.
Way more taxing before those carts. Now that we have carts, that has actually made it somewhat reasonable.
Yeah.
I mean, there were other carts before.
Were you a ladder guy?
Huh?
Were you a ladder guy? Like Jose's a ladder guy?
Occasionally,
Jose's a ladder guy?
I had ladders. Sometimes I had ladders. Sometimes I didn't. It just
I wish
depends.
I had a ladder.
I wanted ladders when I didn't have them. I mean, especially if you're ever doing the Mavericks. I mean, you're doing the Mavericks, you need freaking ladder. But you even with the Cowboys, you need it because there's so many people trying to get in. You need to get up high to get over everyone. Sometimes just to get the shot.
I went under once.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, you try whatever you try whatever you can to get the shot. I mean, sometimes it's like a little hole, and you're just like sneaking in there with your zoom.
Yeah, Nick Lidstrom looks down at me, and he goes, "Really?" Because I was right between his legs. He goes, "Really?" I go, "I'm gonna get shot." And he just goes, "Whatever." I got the video. I still got the tape. So funny.
But weather stuff. I mean, lots of weather. I mean, right now we have all the hurricanes going on, and
so you've covered hurricanes.
Yep, I covered Hurricane Katrina.
I did too, from a different angle.
I mean, we just talked about with Nigel.
I did it from such a different angle than you did, because I did it with the refugees coming to Michigan, because Battle Creek, Michigan had an empty army base, and they brought buses as far as you could see, and just dropping people off. And then leaving, and it was like, what are they going to do with these people?
Yeah. I spent nearly a month down there.
Oh, I never realized. I've been fortunate that I've had a house fire when I was a young kid. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, I've never been in a situation where it's like, where am I going to sleep tomorrow? Or tonight. Right. I couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
Just, it doesn't end. You know, Florida's had hurricanes, but this region of Florida hasn't had them like that. I mean, it went across the state. It hit in Orlando.
Yeah.
Like, Orlando's in the middle of the state.
Yeah.
And then it crosses the state and goes, "Hey, I'm going. Hey, and I'm gonna go up there and get Carolina."
I want to mess South Carolina.
They're like, "Wait, what? Like, they don't do that."
Yeah, that's crazy. And that Fort Myers area is just.
I got friends there.
It's just obliterated.
Yeah, I haven't heard from them, so I'm hoping they're okay.
And I forget, it was Cinnaball or some little island like
Cinnaball,
that.
yeah.
It's real.
Something like that.
It's in pretty bad shape too.
It was only a 4.
Yeah.
Wasn't even a 5.
I mean,
I
remember Katrina. I mean, with Katrina, there was a lot of damage, and depending on where you were, there was some like pretty bad storm surge, and where like literally houses were. Only thing was left was pavement, where like a Category 5 tornado type of thing, or whatever.
Did you see that? The Hulu show, was it Mercy?
I don't know.
It's they talk about when Katrina hit, and it's a hospital. It's all about a hospital, and they showed
but
footage, actual footage.
But I don't need the footage.
Right, of course not. I'm just saying,
I literally this so in the very beginning, when the flooding happened,
right,
in the downtown area. So they started for the longest time they were rescuing people, but you would get these floaters, the people.
Oh, yeah.
You get the floaters, and what they did, they just started stockpiling all the floaters on the side of the on ramps, so basically all your cars were up on the higher upper deck freeways. That's where I saw Nigel,
right.
And then they would use boat ramps, to go down into the downtown area,
right.
And at the edge of it would literally just be stacked bodies, and on the edges.
I couldn't even.
And they did that for probably a good week before they started actually removing the bodies, because they were trying to get the live bodies. They were trying to get the real people.
Live people, yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway,
thank you.
So when you would go on a boat to go with rescuers and stuff, you literally had to walk over bodies.
Oh, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do that. I'm not built for that.
You
I'm not that guy.
Had to step over.
I'm not that guy.
You had to. There was no way. You didn't have a choice.
I wouldn't have gone. I would have been fire me.
Yeah. Well,
I'm being honest. I'm just being genuinely honest. I'm not that guy.
Well, everyone, the people on the boats, this is what everyone's doing. They have them piled, but then at the edge, there's the newest ones. So you had to do some maneuvering to get to the actual boat itself sometimes.
I can't even fathom, dude.
And I did the stand-up with, I was there mostly with Gary Reeves at the time, and we did this one stand-up, and I told Gary, I go, one of the things that people they'll never understand what we're experiencing is, we can show them the sights, we can literally show the dead people floating around in the water, because it was hard to avoid in the very beginning.
It's impossible, I would think,
because you would see them, and but the one thing you couldn't tell the viewer is the smells.
That was going to be my question. Is the odor had to be?
Oh, it was so bad.
You probably still can smell it.
Yeah. No.
I don't mean that literally, but
I remember going down Canal Street where all this spoiled food and stuff, but there weren't really bodies there because it just flooded, and there's a lot of spoiled food and flooding sewer water and stuff, and that smelled.
Doesn't smell good either.
That smelled pretty nasty.
Didn't smell good either.
But I literally remember saying this out loud, saying, I can't believe that I'm happy to be smelling sewer and spoiled food. That is an actual that's fresh air to me right now.
Dude, I cannot wrap my head around that sentence.
And because when you went to other locations, it wasn't like that. Now, and every day I was somewhere different.
Right.
But I remember being, there's another story I won't ever forget. I remember going, and it was a beach in, I assume it was Mississippi.
Okay.
I don't remember the exact time, but it was a beach, and the pier had been washed away. In this particular town, all the houses closest to the beach were just cement. They had been way washed in. And the storm surge had gone inland over a mile to where on top of a target, they were found dead bodies on the top of the target over a mile inland from that storm surge. At that particular time. Well, anyway, I'll never forget. I'm on the beach, and I see this young lady, and she's probably, I mean, she had to have been no older than 25,
Okay.
real young. And she's holding a baby and cradling and rocking back and forth. And just on this cement wall-looking thing.
Right.
And she's just sitting there and rocking her baby. And there's like a little pickup kind of nearby. And I just, from afar, I'm viewing this and I'm shooting some of it.
Right.
And then eventually we slowly approach and we walk. And she tells this tale that is just terrifying. Because she lived in one of those houses.
Oh, my God.
And they put the baby in a cooler when the storm surge came in. And her young people, her and her husband, held on to the cooler for dear life and just let the storm surge take them until finally they were able to grab onto something, and then they just kind of hung on for dear life.
I can't even imagine your thought process.
And I'm just like, they put their baby in a cooler, and it's like, I'm trying to listen to the story and go.
I find nothing funny about it, obviously, but that's such a guy thing to do. Like, I could totally see the guy going, "We're putting the baby in the cooler," and the wife being like, "We're not doing that." "No, we are." Like, that just seems like a guy thing. But
well, I mean, they can't hold on to the baby.
No,
and try to swim.
No, I understand.
I mean,
I'm
we're talking about water that's like.
I'm not.
We're talking.
I know.
Like
Yeah.
think of the biggest rush of water.
Yeah.
It's basically a giant wave just pushing.
Just the thought that your best option is to put a baby in a cooler
and let the water
and it like
push you away.
That's
and then survive it and tell the story.
I don't know how you do.
It's just, I mean, but I would come across, I mean, obviously came across lots of stories of people lost their homes and everything was trashed because it was flooded, but and then I had a lady, she was probably close to 90 or 100, and I remember in that particular area it was pretty flooded and they were pretty isolated, and no one could get any like groceries, water, stuff like that. And I had water and stuff in the back of my car, but you couldn't let people, I mean, you just couldn't let people know what you had.
No, because you'd have become a target.
And granted, when I was there, we had been taken in, so we didn't have it with us.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I remember, I think I had one in my backpack, and I gave her one of the waters. But when we were leaving, she just grabbed my arm and begged us to take her.
I was going to say, she probably wanted you to take her with her.
And I'm like, we can't do that. I'm so sorry. But, I mean, someone's going to come. We know you're here, so we're going to pass on. Other people are going to know you're here. But we can't be the ones to do that.
I can't even.
I mean, you're dealing with circumstances like that all the time. But that was Katrina. Katrina, I mean, I haven't experienced... I've experienced devastation kind of like it before in other hurricanes when I
the levees
did stuff
breaking
with,
is what made that so bad.
But because of the flooding and the loss of life, like, I don't know if there's another hurricane with as much loss of life as that particular one. Thank you
We're good
so
with
much.
that if you want to grab it. Yeah.
So, anyway, I mean, and then I wanted to say one more story, because you remember Jason Wheeler?
I know Jason Wheeler, the guy we used to work with.
So Jason Wheeler, me and him are together. We're some tropical storm that's hitting the Galveston area. We get sent down there, and they tell us to go to this one particular place. They don't like tell us where to go or anything. They don't give us any kind of like real instruction. And it's dark, and the storm's hit, and it's electric is like spotty at best. And you're like, we're looking around, we don't see any other like sat trucks, live trucks, anything. So we're driving down this one road, and the wall of the water is like on our left, and you can barely, it's so dark, you can barely see that it's there, but you can see the water like flapping over and stuff. And I mean, this is windy. This is in the storm. So we're going down, and there's all these like beach houses on this other side, because it's more like a bay, like a river type of thing.
Okay.
And we look, and there's this one house that had a light on. And so we're like, we keep driving thinking maybe we'll run into someone. We don't. So we go to the one house, and when we come back to the house's light, there's a guy, and he's washing off a deck. And at this point, we've driven all the way from Dallas to try to get something. And we're like, So we see the dude. I pull out my camera. He grabs the mic. We watch this guy wash off his deck. And that's like our big storm video for the day. Actually, no, we had came from Galveston.
Okay.
And they moved us over to this city. That's what really had happened. And little did we know, it was like almost a 3.5 hour drive to get, because of the way you had to go in the roads to get to this place. And it was like pitch black, and almost, it was like after 9 p.m.
Right.
by the time we get there. And not only are we providing stuff for Channel 8,
everybody,
they want us to provide for all of Tech,
ABC, Tech,
for everybody.
Yeah.
And then, here's the kicker. So we had there was the NBA playoffs.
Okay.
And on ABC, and they were going to run it late, but because we were providing all of Tegna, we had to feed early because everybody else that wasn't ABC wanted it. So what we did is we cut two different things. We cut like a super quick Vosot thing,
right?
And we sent that back for all of Tegna, and then we cut something else for us real quick. But here's the funny part. So we're there, and this guy had like a picnic bench on because it's a house like on stilts type of situation.
Okay.
He has like this picnic, and like we're on the bench or on the picnic table thing, and I'm editing here, but we're covered, and then I look over and there's a snake, and Jason sees this thing. He hightails it, and
I would have.
And this guy, he comes, he grabs the snake, and he's like, oh, just a little bitty blah, 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 and throws it in the water. But, oh, it was one of the funniest.
Hard pass.
One of the funniest. I was just sitting there editing and like just watching this going, I don't have time to react.
Snakes, dude.
I don't have time to react because I'm like, we had like 10 minutes to cut the like Vosot, maybe 10. And then maybe an extra 30 to do our stuff as well. And it's like, so we're there, and they send us, and then they don't even want us. I don't even think they wanted us to do live. Like,
that's good then.
No, but then our hotel was back in Galveston.
Right.
So we're like,
ugh.
So then another 4 hours. By the time we get back to Galveston, it's time to do the morning shows again.
And they don't care about that. They don't think about that.
No, and it's like, and we got nothing. We got a dude washing off his deck. That's literally.
You guys don't get any sleep? I don't understand. You can't work on no sleep. Producers sometimes.
That's your typical like weather situation.
Because sometimes producers just don't. I'm like, I can't count the number of times where like. Almost the first question I will ever ask a producer when I meet them, like trying to get their background a little bit. I'm like, you ever worked in the field? And if they're like, no, I'm like, then don't ever tell me what to do.
Yeah.
You can direct me, but don't ever tell me what to do. Because you have no comprehension of what we're dealing with.
So anyway.
Oh, that's crazy.
Here we go.
Word of the day.
Word of the day.
Word of the day.
Word of the day.
I like it.
All right.
Put it in your pocket, man.
Now officially word of the day.
Intro music for word of the day.
Do I need to find word of the day based on that information?
Well, I can give you what I had, but I can't.
I'll look it up.
I can't.
I've been keeping my phone in my pocket.
So, I pulled out 3 D words. The first one is distortion.
This is distortion.
But what's
that?
Yeah, but what does distortion mean?
It's all distorted and nasty and gross and unusable. I love it when you use a word to define a word. Hang on, I'll look it up.
I mean, distortion is like obviously when the audio isn't clean. It's beyond muddy.
Yeah.
It's extremely boomy.
This says a virus causes distortion on leaves.
Yeah, we're going to talk about a different distortion.
The action of giving no, that isn't it.
And then one of our other words is going to be dynamic range.
It says a change in form of an electrical signal or sound wave during processing.
Well, there you go.
Dynamic range.
Dynamic range. Dynamic range has to do with stereo. It has to do with the fact that the signal is round versus mono.
Right. This is the range of acceptable or possible volumes of sound occurring in the course of a piece of music or a performance.
So, in that case, it's referring to
The ratio between the brightest and darkest parts of an image.
or the softest
Or the
and
black
loudest,
and brightest.
loudest,
or for
quietest.
sound, loudest and quietest. So it works for imagery as well.
Yes. And then the last one was going to be a dynamic mic.
Is this a dynamic mic?
And these, I believe, are types of dynamic mics.
Yeah.
And again,
The terms that I know just don't know sometimes.
well, I
crack
had
me
this
up.
stuff ready.
Right. Oh, this chair's
But
really
the
hot.
sun,
This chair's really hot.
the chair's hot.
Like, I was standing because it was very uncomfortable for a while, and now
Yeah.
my butt's on fire.
Well,
I'm
There you go.
gonna push through though.
well, I mean, we are at 30 minutes.
So I mean, in theory.
So, I
think
mean,
we're
in
good.
theory, we should be able to go.
All right.
I mean, anyway, we'll probably throw dynamic mic on there again when I can actually
Talk about it.
talk about it a little more,
Sounds
because I want to give people the
Yeah, makes
real, true definition.
Yeah.
I think we covered the others. And anyway, that's weather and
Yeah, man.
feeling uncomfortable.
Yeah,
and we're dealing with that right now.
If it wasn't just a little breezy, we'd be in trouble.
I mean,
But
the
it's
only
a
other
little breezy.
weather thing that I remember with you is like the time you went in the vault for when we did that shoot in the
yeah,
vault. That was
I
definitely
almost-
weather.
I almost
that
passed
was,
out. Yeah,
That's a pretty tough shoot.
They made me wear a bodysuit for safety, and I got very overheated.
And it was
That
probably
was
100
scary.
degrees
That was
that
scary.
day on
That
top,
was-
and then you were underneath the cement.
Those guys
and-
were firing me waters like crazy.
Oh, yeah.
It was a very scary moment. It was very
But anyway,
overheated.
that's another wonderful
Sweet.
episode.
Like, share, subscribe. Thank you to Standard Service in Heath, Texas for letting us spend the afternoon here and record some episodes. Check it out if you've never been here. Ask for Savannah. She's awesome.
Like, comment, share,
Subscribe. Do all that fun
Subscribe.
stuff. Missions
Yep.
up 20.
The
nothing if you
JMKast.
care. Go Blue.
JM Creative Group.
See you next time.
JMKast.
New story.